This is a short reel.
Welcome to the Short Reel. This is the 2021 movie review, where my son Dylan Mason and I will rank our favorite movies, our top 10 favorite movies, as it were, and our bottom 5 movies of the year, plus some honorable mentions. Dylan, how are you, bud?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
Pretty good.
Good.
So, in preparation, I went to IMDb and looked up all the movies released in 2021. It wasn't a totally correct list, but there were over 12,000 movies that were released last year alone. About half of them were Bollywood movies, which blew my mind that many movies come out of India. But yeah, at least half of them were Bollywood. And a surprising amount of Christmas movies, like a really surprising amount of Christmas movies. I know a lot of them are probably Hallmark movies, but there are a lot of animated movies in there too that looked really terrible. So a lot going on in the world of movies in the year 2021. The first half of the year, the movies were kind of coming out slowly because, things were kind of getting back to normal after COVID. Well, the first wave of COVID anyway. Also a startling amount of COVID movies that came out last year as well, and they look terrible as well. What did you think about the year in movies, bud?
I thought it was a really good year overall, but there were definitely some just awful movies that came out this year and some that I had mixed opinions on.
Oh, yeah. What we're going to do is go back and forth. I think we should start off with our movies of the year. You think you want to start off with the good movies or the bad movies?
Oh, the bad ones.
You want to start off the bad ones? Okay.
Yeah, let's just get it over with.
All right. Well, you go ahead first with your number 5, and then I'll do mine. We'll just go back and forth.
All right, so my 5th least favorite movie is Venom, Let There Be Carnage. Where do I even begin with how terrible this movie is? So let me just start with the only 2 pros of the movie, which are Woody Harrelson's performance and the Carnage villain. What I loved about Woody Harrelson in this movie is just how absolutely psychotic he is. And
Woody never disappoints.
No, he doesn't. He's one of my favorites of all time, and he just always does good things for me, and I love him. He's awesome.
Yeah.
And then the other pro of this movie is Carnage, who is a very scary and intense villain who wasn't exactly what I was expecting as the character, but still a very terrifying character, and just really liked it a lot. So the cons for this movie is just everything else. Venom is a totally and completely wasted character, being more comedic than actually like super scary or really intimidating at all. It's just bad. The story is a mess. The script is just awful. And it just sucks. Let There Be Carnage is just such a terrible movie, and I will never watch it again. I wouldn't recommend it. It's just terrible.
Like I said, you can't go wrong with Woody Harrelson, though. He's always dependable. So if he's a villain in your movie, then you're doing all right. So
yeah, like from what the trailer looked like, it looked like he would be like a little bit too goofy to enjoy in this one, but he's just spectacular in this movie.
All right, my number 5 was Coming to America. I don't want to say I had high hopes for this movie because I really love the original, but I kind of had hopes that this one would be at least good. Eddie Murphy was kind of having a resurgence there for a minute. He had the Dolomite movie, which was fantastic. He had his really, really great appearance on Saturday Night Live. So I thought, well, he's got some steam rolling here, so maybe he can keep it going and this movie will at least be good. I saw the trailer and I was like, well, it doesn't look great, but hopefully there's better stuff within it. There wasn't. It's just not a good movie. It's just not funny, not engaging, and I was ready for it to be over with by the end of the movie. It was just blah. Blah is the best possible word I can think of for it. Just blah. It's just bad. It's a bad movie.
I love the original, and I honestly saw the trailer for this and just went, I'm not going to watch that. It just looks too bad.
Yeah, the original one's such a great movie. It's very 80s, but it's still just a very, very good movie and very funny movie. And this was a big swing and a miss.
All right, my fourth least favorite movie of this year is James Wan's Malignant.
Mine too.
The trailer was so misleading for this one.
Yeah, this movie was just a huge disappointment. Just a massive disappointment, because I love James Wan's movies, but this was just disappointing on all levels.
The trailer made it look like a scary and genuinely terrifying horror slasher mystery. But the movie was unintentionally funny, and it made it into a horror comedy. James Wan actually had the intention of making this movie as a giallo movie, which I haven't seen a single giallo movie, so if giallo movies are actually like this, then I bet this would have made a lot more sense rather than it actually did. This was just awful.
I've seen a few giallo movies, and I guess I could see where he was trying to do something like that, but he did not succeed. I didn't think it was worthy of giallo at all.
Now, there is one scene in this movie that I think that me and you can agree on because it is just spectacular, but the police station.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was spectacular, and I loved every second of that. But
I did too. But the big reveal toward the end as to what's actually going on with the character in the movie, that was just ridiculous. That was pure 80s schlock right there, just dumb.
Yes. Also, after I remember this in the theater, after the first scene of the movie, you just turned to me and said, there was not a single good actor in that scene.
I like the lead actress in the movie. I can't think of what her name is, but the script kind of reminded me of a Saw movie. Saw movies are fun to watch, but their scripts are so bad and their dialogue is so bad in those movies. And it kind of reminded me of a Saw movie in that respect. Just paint by numbers, and the reveal was stupid. I was so disappointed. Because I think James Wan is a modern day master of horror. I think he's amazing and he does really great work. But, man, this was just a turd.
Well, I mean, I guess the bad writing is to be expected from a writer of American Horror Story.
Yeah.
Because the writer of this movie has done seasons of American Horror Story. I don't know which ones, but yeah, if you actually watch American Horror Story and actually pay attention to the dialogue, you'll realize that it's just horrendously written and you're not going to be finding anything really great.
It's got a lot of fans out there, but I think the fans of the show are more into it for the soap opera aspect of it and the horror and the gore, because I don't know, I think if you're watching it for good dialogue and for a script, you're going to be disappointed. So
yeah, I'm probably going to end up at one point watching the entirety of Freak Show, which is the only season I have any wanting to watch. It honestly looks good compared to what else there is.
Well, what you have for your third least favorite?
My third least favorite movie of this year is something that people will probably disagree with me on, but Fear Street 1978.
The entire Fear Street trilogy for me was my number 2, which I know is kind of a cheat, but it's all one story being told over 3 separate episodes, basically. So I just went ahead and said that the trilogy as a whole. Man, what a turd. But you go ahead.
Fear Street 1978 takes place in the year 1978, pretty obviously.
Really?
Yeah. This movie was terrible. There wasn't a single enjoyable character in this movie. The killer was sort of cool, but just weak. The performances were terrible. The script was awful. Yeah, this just wasn't good, and I'm done talking about it.
Okay. I think there were some great kills in all 3 episodes of it. You know, good gore and all that, but I'm not just somebody who watches a horror movie for gore. You know, I want a story too. I want some intriguing things happening on screen and so forth, because 50% of horror movies are just bad. Some are intentionally bad, some are accidentally bad, and others are just not good. But there's some really great horror movies out there, and a lot of it has to do with the way it's written in the story. The story is important, I think, in a horror movie, because if there's no story and it's just gore and whatever, then who cares, you know?
Yeah.
And I've watched plenty of horror movies just for gore, because I've heard, oh man, this one's super gory, and it's like, okay, cool, I'll watch it. And I watched it and was like, yep, that's all it was gory. Fear Street, I felt like, was kind of in that vein. It was terribly written and great gore and kills, and the The killer in the second episode, the 1978 episode, that was a great killer, if not kind of a cheat, because he's patterned after Jason Voorhees and after The Town That Dreaded Sundown and that sort of thing, but still a good killer.
Yeah, it just seemed like he was a bit weak since, you could just decapitate him and he's dead. But there's Jason Voorhees who can literally get struck by lightning and come back to life, so...
I feel like if they spend as much money on hiring a good writer and creating a good story instead of the soundtrack, which the soundtrack is amazing, especially the 70s and the 90s episodes, the first and the second episodes. Amazing soundtracks with some all-time great songs on them and some of the biggest hits of each decade. But you don't need to spend all that money on a great soundtrack. You don't have to have wall-to-wall music like you did in the 90s episode. Like, it was one song after another, almost like just like one big long music bed of the biggest hits of the 90s. It's great to hear those in movies, but it's not necessary, Just work on a script, work on a story, make it interesting at least, because it just wasn't.
No.
Apply your money appropriately.
None of the characters in any of these movies were really just great in any way. And I can say this, I really, really, really enjoy the first half of the third movie. Then after the first half of the third movie, it goes back to just terrible things, and I don't like it.
Those first two movies are like you're listening to a mixtape and a horror movie breaks out.
Yeah.
Fear Street Trilogy, thumbs down, fart noise.
Yeah, all right, I'll see you guys there.
My number 3 was the M. Night Shyamalan movie Old. Boy, oh boy.
Yeah.
Is that on your top 5 too?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it must be your number 1 then.
No.
It's number 2. Number 2 then,
mm-hmm.
Okay.
Number 2.
What another letdown. I think with Shyamalan, his trailers are so intriguing, and it makes you want to see the movies, and they really just dangle the carrot in front of you like, yeah, come see this one. You're not going to be sorry. And you're always sorry for the most part. He's had some good movies, and boy, he's had some bad ones, and this one is a bad one. It's a terrible movie.
I wrote a single line to describe this movie. This movie sucks.
Indeed.
I cannot go further than saying that this movie sucks.
A huge letdown. There were some good actors in it and an intriguing plot, and when it was all over with, it's like, that's it, huh? That's the big Shyamalan twist. Okay, great. Wonderful.
He named a rapper in this movie Mid-Size Sedan.
Which I thought was kind of funny, but it's also like, who would name themselves that as a rapper?
Oh, there's at least 20 of them.
There's some stupid rap names out there. What was the one I saw yesterday? Something Skull Mask.
Ski Mask the Slump God?
Ski Mask the Slump God, that's what it was. Yes. Well, what the hell kind of name is that?
I have no idea.
Oh my God. It makes no sense. Ski Mask the Slump God?
I guarantee you there's at least 20 mid-sized sedans out there.
Just of that quality name, is that what you're saying?
Uh-huh. There's someone named Young Gravy.
Oh yeah, Young Gravy. Yeah. Well, let's get off the rappers and let's get to your number 1. Since we know what your number 2 was, go ahead and go with your number 1. Your worst movie of the year.
My worst movie of this year is Willy's Wonderland.
Dude, I forgot about Willy's Wonderland. Oh, I totally forgot about that movie. That might have bumped Coming to America off the list, actually, but it's too late for that, so that's a terrible movie, boy. Whew.
This is a movie starring Nicolas Cage in a role where he doesn't speak a single word.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, you don't do that.
Right.
You do not put Nicolas Cage in a role where he doesn't speak.
He needs to be in there hamming it up. You want to hear the Nicolas Cage monologues and the screaming and everything else.
Just losing his mind through words. So the teen characters are awful. The animatronics are just really terrible looking compared to the animatronics from the Five Nights at Freddy's game franchise or even the Chuck E. Cheese animatronics. They just look really bad compared to those.
Mm-hmm.
Not to mention the most obnoxious song in all of cinema history. Oh my God.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
And the thing about this is it can't even manage to entertain the audience. It's not even really fun to watch. It's just long. It just feels extensively long compared to how long it actually is. It's not scary, and it is just awful. I will hate this movie forever.
I did think Nicolas Cage's character's devotion to energy drinks, 15-minute breaks, and pinball was kind of fun. But it's like no matter what's going on, he stops what he's doing to take his 15-minute break. I thought that was kind of funny, and but it didn't make any sense. But I thought it was really funny.
It is funny, but oh my god, this honestly might be in my bottom 5 of all time. Like, I just hate it so much.
Well, I'll go ahead and go with my number 1, and you're going to be very disappointed in me, but that's just the way it goes. But
oh no,
my least favorite movie of the year was The Green Knight.
Oh, that hurts. No!
Dude, I hated that movie so much.
No!
I mean, I fell asleep multiple times in the theater watching it, and that's not something I do. That movie could not hold my attention for like the length of a fart. It was, God, what a boring ass movie, dude. I mean, well made, don't get me wrong, well acted, beautifully shot, but just boring as shit. God, that was a boring movie, man. And I know it's in your top 10. I know it's in your top 10.
It's not.
Oh, it's not? Okay, well, that's good at least, but Lord, what a snooze.
Oh, God, I disagree so much with you right now.
I know you do. That's all right. We can disagree. We agreed on everything else so far. We can disagree on this one. That's not a big deal, right?
Mm-hmm.
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 Oh, he's mad now.
Yeah, I'm furious with you.
Oh, geez, furious. That's a hard word. Wow. Man, it's a bit much.
Not nice. Not cool.
You knew I hated that movie.
I knew you did, but wow.
Yeah, I couldn't stand it. Yeah.
That sucks.
Oh, well, I apologize, bud. Don't think less of me. It's just a movie.
Yeah, all right.
It's not like I shit all over licorice pizza or something, buddy. Come on, it's just The Green Knight.
That's true.
Yeah. All right. Well, we got that out of the way. Let's go to our favorite movies of the year. We'll start with number 10. Dylan, you go ahead.
At my number 10 spot, I have Lamb.
Lamb's a good movie. That's a weird movie.
This movie was built up as a horror movie based on the trailer, and although it was not at all a horror movie, it still has a consistent, unnerving feeling throughout, and it is a family drama, and it's just the weirdest family drama you're ever going to see.
It's a strange art house movie with a slight horror element to it, but it's not a horror movie. Definitely not.
Definitely not a horror movie, and if you honestly thought it was a horror movie, then okay, that's your opinion.
It starts off like, yep, this is a horror movie, all right, and then it goes right into just a weird art house drama, and then by the end of the movie, if you're scared of what you see, then I guess it's a horror movie, but it didn't scare me in the least. But yeah, just a weird, fun movie. I enjoyed it too. If you don't know what the story of Lamb is, it's a couple who can't get pregnant. No, they did get pregnant and their daughter died, right?
Yeah, they lost their child.
They lost a child, and that sort of put a strain on their marriage. And something gets one of their sheep pregnant, and it's born half sheep, half human. They fall in love with the lamb child and basically keep him as their own. Oh, it's a weird one.
Oh, it's really weird, and that ending's weird.
But it's the only ending this movie could have, I think. That would be fair, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, my number 10 is Ghostbusters Afterlife.
Number 10?
Number 10. I love this movie, and it got a lot of shit from critics and from fans alike, but man, this movie just did it for me. I just thought it was fun and hilarious and had a big heart, and I love the big ghost at the end of the movie, which I don't want to spoil for anybody, but there's a very special ghost at the end of the movie, and I thought that was just really beautifully done. I don't have any complaints about this movie at all. I know a lot of people didn't like it and they thought it was just fan service, or they thought it was overdoing it, or thought it was a retread, but I loved it. I thought it was great.
You know what is fan service?
What?
Spider-Man No Way Home.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
Yeah.
I'll spoil it and say that ends up in my honorable mentions for a few reasons, but yeah, that was another mildly disappointing movie, I think. Mildly is fair.
Mildly disappointing, yeah.
Number 9, sir.
Number 9 for me is A Quiet Place Part 2.
That's a good one.
A Quiet Place Part 2 is a sequel to the first Quiet Place from 2018, and
It is?
You know what? I should stop saying things like that.
Yeah, there's very few movies that have a number 2 at the end of it that, are not sequels. That's all right, brother. Keep going.
All right. So this movie does actually take place directly after the first one. Like, it leaves off as soon as the first one ends, and
Picks right up, yeah.
this is an incredible movie, and in my opinion, it is better than its predecessor.
Ooh. I don't agree with that, but I do think it was very, very good.
It's a well-acted, well-shot, and well-scripted movie. John Krasinski did amazing on this movie, as well as the first. In my opinion, the opening of this movie is one of the greatest horror scenes ever.
It's pretty great.
But yeah, A Quiet Place Part 2 is an extraordinary piece of horror cinema from this year, and it's not my favorite horror movie of this year, but it's still absolutely incredible.
Very good. My number 9 is the movie that a lot of people are expecting to clean up at the Oscars, or at least win several of them. The Power of the Dog. A really cool movie on Netflix, directed by Jane Campion, who did The Piano and several other big sweeping epic type movies like that. Stars Benedict Cumberbatch and the kid from Let Me In, not Let the Right One In, but the American remake of it. Really interesting movie. Beautifully shot. Absolutely beautifully shot. There are a lot of just completely shocking scenes of life on the farm in the early 1900s. Let's put it that way. A lot of things going on with animals that would bother a lot of people. Like the on-screen, I don't know if it was real or not, but the on-screen castration of a cow. The skinning of a dead cow, just a lot of gruesome animal activity in this movie. That's not what the movie's all about, but it's the cruelty to animals it also rolls over to the cruelty to humans in this movie, especially on behalf of Benedict Cumberbatch. He is a cruel, heartless individual, and he does a lot of terrible things to people in this movie, and it's really just an excellent movie, and just, to me, it was shocking on a lot of levels. Just really gruesome and powerful.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
At my number 8, I have Antlers.
Antlers. Really cool movie.
Man, this is a sad one.
From the trailer, you get and the name of the movie, Antlers, you get that they're facing a creature that has antlers and walks upright. And if you know anything about Native American lore, you might put 2 and 2 together as to what that creature may be.
This, in my opinion, is a horror movie on the verge of being a totally perfect horror movie. This is the first on-screen adaptation of that specific character you were talking about, which is a creature of Native American folklore, and it's one of the scariest creatures I have ever seen. This movie has got phenomenal performances from Kerry Russell, Jesse Plemons, and Jeremy T. Thomas. The cinematography is beautiful in this movie.
Very.
I don't know where they shot this, probably Canada, but wow, just gorgeous. The ending of this movie is very sad.
Mm-hmm.
Man, it's just a very scary and very sad horror movie, and it's still not my favorite horror movie of the year, but God, I recommend it. This is another one that got a lot of bad reviews for some reason. Like, it's sitting in the rotten right now on Rotten Tomatoes, and that just sucks.
Yeah, I don't know why either. I thought it was really excellent.
What's your number 8?
My number 8 is a Netflix film with Idris Elba called Concrete Cowboy. Concrete Cowboy is a true story about a group of cowboys in the most unusual of places in the urban areas of Philadelphia. This was a real thing, and they still ride today, but it was horse stables right in the middle of this urban area. And they would ride these horses, they'd keep them up, they would have horse races in the park, and it became they were modern day cowboys, and it was part of their culture, and it was part of their neighborhood, and it's a really compelling story, really compelling. And Idris Elba, just fantastic. I wish he would get some Oscar love for this one because he was that good, I thought. But just great acting all the way around. And some of the actors in the movie are the actual cowboys that lived in that area. A couple of the main actors in the movie are the actual cowboys. So really, really, really cool story. I love that movie quite a bit. I watched it a couple of times. Had my mom watch it, and she loved it too. It's just a great story. Really, really, really compelling.
Very cool.
I keep telling you to watch it, and you don't do it.
Trying to get to it. I have a lot of movies here.
I know you do. What's your number 8?
Well, that was Antlers.
Oh, I'm sorry. What's your number 7?
It's all good. Yeah.
I'm losing track already. Go ahead.
At number 7 for me, I have Pig.
Ah.
So I won't say much about this movie because it just needs to be seen.
It does.
Pig stars Nicolas Cage in a genuinely serious role. And in this movie, he looks for his missing truffle pig.
The setup of the movie is he was once a famous chef in Portland, wasn't it? Portland, Oregon?
I think so.
And he went off the grid for some very sad reasons. And he lived in an area that was kind of a hotbed for truffles, and he had a truffle pig, which is a real thing, a pig that sniffs out truffles in the ground. And he would sell those truffles to a guy who would sell them to restaurants, and that's how he basically kept going. And someone steals his pig, and that's the rest of the movie is him trying to get his pig back. Sounds like a Nicolas Cage movie, but it's definitely not your standard Nicolas Cage movie. It is incredible. Beautiful, sad movie.
It's so great, man. But, man, it takes a lot to get into the top 10 of the year for me, and that's especially true for Nicolas Cage movies, which...
Because he doesn't make very many good movies anymore.
That's true.
But we're not alone on this one, man. The critics love this movie, and it's got a, 98% Rotten Tomato score or something like that. It's a fantastic movie.
Very good.
My number 7 is Come On, Come On.
Number 7?
Number 7. I told you you're gonna think my list is weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, number 7 was Come On, Come On. That is not really a father-son movie, but an uncle-son movie. Or uncle-nephew movie, starring Joaquin Phoenix. It might as well be a father-son movie because it tugs every heartstring. It's just so beautiful.
Yeah.
So beautiful and emotional, and as a father, and an uncle for that matter, man, it hits every little nerve. You know, it's a beautiful movie.
Yeah.
I know you're going to talk more about that coming up because I'm sure it's on your list, so we'll come back to that and talk more here in a little bit.
Okay.
But you going with your number 6 there, son.
My number 6, I have Ghostbusters Afterlife.
Oh, number 6. See, the way you were acting, I didn't think it was going to be on your list at all.
Yeah.
Well, good.
So this serves as a perfect sequel to the original 2 Ghostbusters movies.
Mm-hmm.
It's got moments that will make you laugh till you cry and moments that will make you teary-eyed.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Paul Rudd is amazing in this movie.
He never disappoints either. He's just like Woody. He never disappoints.
Yeah, Paul Rudd had some great work this year.
Yeah.
Really great work.
He did.
Shrink Next Door.
Shrink Next Door on Apple TV Plus. That is a wonderful, just shocking story.
It is so great. But Ghostbusters Afterlife has amazing performances from all the child actors, especially the main daughter of the story. She did fantastic in this movie.
She's so funny.
Finn Wolfhard is great. A character that you'll learn to know as Podcast. His actor was absolutely hilarious in this movie.
He's a scene stealer for sure.
And the CGI, once you see it, you'll realize, oh my god, this might be the best CGI of the year. Oh,
it's pretty
God.
amazing.
Yeah. There's only one movie that I think could actually top the CGI, and if you know the whole context behind the CGI, you'll know how spectacular it is.
Well, my number 6, and this one's going to surprise you because you've never seen this movie. And I think when I saw it at the time, I told you how great it was. When I was compiling this list, I had sort of forgotten about the movie, but then when I saw the title, I was like, oh yeah. And I went back in my mind and was thinking about how great it was and all the little beats and everything and how much I enjoyed it and how funny it was and how much heart it had. And I started to think, was it better than this? Was it better than that? Was it better than this? And I think it was. My number 6 is the Hulu original movie, Plan B.
I've never heard of that.
So it's about a young Indian girl and her friend who the Indian girl has sex and she gets pregnant. And her parents are very, very traditional. Her mother, very traditional, wants her to, go to college, have a big successful career and everything. But if you're a teenager and you have a child, that usually, derails your life's plans pretty quickly. And so the rest of the movie is them trying to get a Plan B pill, which is a pill that will end your pregnancy immediately. And so the movie is her and her friends trying to find a Plan B pill and being shut down at every turn just because of politics and so forth. Man, it's a funny movie, and it is so original and huge heart. You'll have to see it. It's a really excellent movie, and you'll like it too, being a teenager. Some of the beats in it there you're really going to appreciate, I think. But we'll have to watch it. I once I started thinking about it again, it's like, man, I love that movie, and I can't believe I haven't really watched it again, honestly, because it was so good.
Cool.
Plan B on Hulu.
Okay, my number 5. My favorite horror movie from this year is Candyman.
Candyman.
Oh
Solid.
my God, this movie is... Man, it's great.
It really is.
This is both a sequel to the original and also a slight reboot. The performances are extraordinary throughout this movie. The score is horrifying. Its script is spectacular, which is to be expected from Jordan Peele, who is now officially a modern horror master. Yeah, I recommend this to anyone who really enjoyed the original and just to anyone in general.
Really incredibly artistic, too.
Very, very artistic.
A lot of stuff done with just paper cutouts that are mind-blowing to watch.
The puppeteering in this movie is extraordinary. And that end credit sequence is so cool.
Yeah, definitely check out Candyman. It didn't make my top 10, but it was damn close.
An honorable mention, probably?
It is. Absolutely an honorable mention.
All right, cool.
My number 5 is Free Guy.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Free Guy, the Ryan Reynolds movie about the character inside of a video game that really gains a mind of his own and goes rogue. And what a unique, original movie that is. And so funny. God, I just laughed my ass off at that movie. Ryan Reynolds is the singular comedic, brilliant person. There's nobody else that speaks like him, that thinks like him, that talks like him. In some ways, he's a lot like Robin Williams, only very toned down. He's like a Jim Carrey. He's like I don't know. So many different singular personalities, and I think Ryan Reynolds is definitely one of them.
Yeah.
As far as CGI is concerned, this is probably the best CGI movie of the year, in my opinion. Ghostbusters was definitely fantastic, but this movie's probably 98% green screen, and there's things going on all over it. There's little Easter eggs all over the place, and it's really just, it's fun to watch. It's so fun to watch, and you can go back and watch it 2 or 3 times and still find things that you missed the first couple times around because there's so much going on at all times. But what an amazing movie.
My number 4 is Free Guy.
That was your number 1 for a long time this year. And
yeah.
It got dethroned not too long ago, right?
Not too long ago, no. I just wanted to mention one more thing before we move on to your number 4. Man, the depictions of some video game characters being played by people in real life, that's accurate.
Spot on, right?
Spot on. Oh my God. Like there's this random guy throughout the whole movie that's just running and jumping around, and that's me. That's my gaming style. I run around jumping and running all the time.
The other guy that's probably me when I play video games is a guy who just keeps walking into the wall, and
there's one of those guys too.
Has really no aim whatsoever. He's just, that's me whenever I try to play a game with you, because I'm not a gamer. Not a gamer at all.
Yeah, there is a character in that movie that runs into a wall constantly.
Yep. That's me.
That's you.
Yep. Well, your number 4 was my number 5, and my number 4 was your number 6, I think. Pig.
7.
7. Okay. My number 4 is Pig. We've already talked about it. We've both gushed about it already, so we don't have to do it again, but Pig is a must-see. Number 3, sir.
My third favorite movie is not a movie, but is a Netflix original and is so theatrical that I figured it should just be classified as a movie. If you have a problem, I don't care. This is Bo Burnham Inside.
That's a very, very good special. I don't know if it's a movie, but it's a special. But it could be a movie, and that'd be fair too. So,
This is a beautiful and powerful show to watch.
mm-hmm.
And if you didn't know Bo Burnham before, you know Bo Burnham now. That special has become more famous than like any other comedy special now, I think.
Of recent memory, yeah. Between that and Promising Young Woman, his star rose quickly.
Very quickly. This soundtrack is spectacular in this movie. Music is beautiful and very powerful. This shows Bo Burnham's talent in cinematography, and he did every single bit of this alone.
Wrote it, directed it, shot it, everything.
The fact that he did all of that is incredible.
And you actually see him throughout, like receiving packages from Amazon with lights and microphones, and you see him create the movie while he's filming it.
Yeah.
He's always got a camera running in the background, so everything he's doing is being filmed. And you see him receiving these packages and setting up his next shot and getting all these new special effects and instruments because he plays music too. And it's really something to watch. And as far as the content of it is concerned, if you have depression, this one really nails depression. It's basically him trying to get through life during quarantine because that's when it was all filmed. And his depression is on screen basically, and it's tough to watch sometimes because if he's not really going through it, he's doing a damn good job acting. But I feel pretty confident that he's going through it at the same time. And it's something, man. It's really amazing.
This is a perfect showing of what living in COVID was like, but in the form of a comedy special.
Right.
And it is just powerful and wonderful in so many ways. And that ending is just... It's just insane.
A fun fact about this movie, too, is that it was filmed in the guest house of the Nightmare on Elm Street house.
Yeah.
I didn't know that till recently. When I found it, I was like, wow. Because I thought it was his house, but apparently it isn't. It's his girlfriend owns the Nightmare on Elm Street house. And so he shot everything for the movie in the guest house.
Man, that's cool.
Number 3, yours is Bo Burnham. Mine is One Night in Miami. I know that sounds like a 2020 movie because it was nominated for Oscars and so forth, but the movie didn't get released till 2021, and Dylan and I were talking about this earlier today. Because of the Oscars getting pushed back because of COVID, the eligibility for those Oscars were moved up to, I think, the end of February. So there were movies released in 2021 that qualified for the 2020 Oscars. This was one of them, and there's some others that will be mentioned that were in there too. But my number 3 is One Night in Miami, which was Regina King's directorial debut. And what a home run she hit with that. Holy shit, that's a good movie. The majority of the movie takes place in a hotel room, and it's mostly this is based on a true event anyway. There was a night in Miami, oddly enough.
Really?
Yeah, I know. Where Muhammad Ali, Malcolm X, Jim Brown, and Sam Cooke all were together for the evening, spending time talking, getting to know each other, and then ultimately partying in Miami. Very interesting and compelling to watch, especially if you have studied that era at all. Wow, it's just a fascinating movie. Looks like it could have been a stage play. Maybe it was, I don't know. But just incredible performances too. Leslie Odom Jr. plays Sam Cooke, and he won me over big time in that movie. He's got an amazing voice for one, but he was killing it as an actor in that movie. And he got nominated for an Oscar, and he really deserved it. Yeah, highly recommend One Night in Miami. And I recommend anything that Regina King does because as far as I'm concerned, she can't do anything wrong.
This was also based on a stage play by Kemp Powers.
That doesn't surprise me because it felt like a play. It felt like one.
At number 2, I have Come On, Come On.
Okay.
This was difficult because my number 2 and number 1 are so special and so incredible to watch that it was just so difficult to choose between 2 and 1. Come On stars Joaquin Phoenix in a phenomenal role. Gabby Hoffman is great. Scoot McNairy is heartbreaking.
Yeah.
And Woody Norman carries this movie.
The young child carries the movie. You're right, man. He's great.
He's just better than Joaquin in this movie, and that sounds impossible, but man, he's amazing.
He's got a huge future if he decides to continue acting.
I'm not going to talk about anything further than this because it just needs to be seen. This movie's amazing.
I want you to go ahead and read off your number 1. Your number 1 is my number 2. I don't want to take your glory away, so you go ahead and give me your number 1, and then I'll do my 2 and 1 from there.
My number 1 is... Licorice Pizza.
Yeah.
This is absolutely the best of the year. There's no doubt in my mind. This movie's perfect.
It was a struggle for me to pick whether this was number 1 or number 2 for me. I settled on number 2 just because I love the number 1 so much from the very first time I saw it. And Licorice Pizza, I think if I saw it a second time, I'd probably like it more than than my number 1. I don't know though. It's a phenomenal movie. I'll let you hype it up and then I'll add some stuff at the end. Go ahead.
It is my favorite movie of this year, but it's also now officially one of my favorite movies of all time. Alana Haim and Cooper Hoffman have 2 of the greatest breakout roles I have ever seen. Bradley Cooper is hysterical.
He is.
This movie is beautiful. On occasions, it can definitely feel uncomfortable, but...
You find out very early in the movie, like within the first 5 minutes of the movie, that it's a 15-year-old boy falling in love with a 25-year-old woman. That love never goes away throughout the entire movie, and she is falling in love with him at the same time, so that dynamic alone makes it uncomfortable. But it never goes too far either. You just kind of have to watch it and experience it to really get past that element of the movie. And of course, it was the 70s. Things are a little different, but I don't think there were too many 15-year-olds and 25-year-olds dating in that era. But really, these two don't really ever necessarily date throughout this movie. It's just kind of them loving each other from afar. So it's really a beautiful movie.
It really is. And this movie has an amazing soundtrack.
Oh, yeah.
And I knew after seeing the first trailer for this movie that it would be a contender for my number 1 or even the top 10 after simply seeing the first trailer, because
it had my favorite trailer of the year.
That is the best trailer of the year.
And I kind of thought, man, if this movie isn't better than the trailer, I'll understand, because that trailer's damn good. But I was confident that it was going to be better than the trailer because Paul Thomas Anderson, he knows his way around it.
Yeah, I disagree slightly.
Well, I know there's some movies of his that you don't like, but you got to admit he's an incredible filmmaker.
Oh, he absolutely is. Like,
yeah.
God, I love Punch Drunk Love.
Oh, yeah.
But I strongly despise There Will Be Blood. God, I hate that movie.
Your There Will Be Blood is my Green Knight. Because I love There Will Be Blood, but man, I know you can't stand it, and I think it's kind of funny. So
I hate that movie.
I know you do. It amuses me to no end too, but yeah, Licorice Pizza, man, that is a must-see. What a phenomenal movie.
Beautiful, wonderful, heartfelt, just spectacular. And I love everything about it.
And hilarious.
So funny.
Well, my number 1 is the movie that I wanted to win Best Picture back at the Oscars earlier this year. It didn't win it, but it still should have. I still contend it was the number 1 movie of the year, but my number 1 of the year is Judas and the Black Messiah.
I knew it.
I've watched Judas and the Black Messiah 2 or 3 times now. Still love it with every watch. But man, I think if I watch Licorice Pizza again, it would be so close. It'd almost be like I can't pick one over the other. Because man, that's a phenomenal movie. But Judas and the Black Messiah, I don't have to talk about it too much because by now you probably have seen it and you probably know about it at least. Just a tour de force of a movie. The acting in that movie is second to none. Just unbelievable performances throughout that movie. Daniel Kaluuya, he's far and away one of the better actors in Hollywood. Lakeith Stanfield gets better with every role that he takes. Man, what a movie. So great. Such a great movie. And it told me a story that I'd never heard of before. I didn't know the story behind that movie before. I didn't really know much about the main character of the movie. And now that I do, man, what an incredible man he was. So, Judas and the Black Messiah, it's a must-see. We're going to move on to honorable mentions now. If you don't mind, I'll go ahead and start because I've already mentioned that Candyman is one of my honorable mentions. That's probably my number one honorable mention. The rest of these are in no specific order, but that was the first one I put down as an honorable mention because it was very, very, very close to my top 10. Very close. So Candyman, we've already discussed it. We'll move on from there. What's your next honorable mention?
Is the Green Knight.
My next one is The Night House.
My next one is Judas and the Black Messiah.
There you go. Okay, fair enough. Night House is a really cool movie. Really, really artistic. They do some things with, what's it called? Forced perception? Is that what it was? Is that forced? I think it's forced perception.
I think so, yeah.
I forget exactly what it's called. But they do some things with that are really, really interesting. Like you think you see a shadow in the background, but really it's just the pillars that support the ceiling and the way they're adjusted in the frame, and you kind of move out of the way, and suddenly you see it's not a shape; it's just the shape of the pillars, and it's so cool. It's so interesting. It's a really great ghost story. Rebecca Hall, she's another one to me that can't do anything wrong. She's Regina King as far as I'm concerned. Everything they do is gold. She's phenomenal. Phenomenal actress, and she was a director this year in another one of my honorable mentions, which we'll get to. Her first directorial movie, and it was amazing. So, yeah, Rebecca Hall, she's the shit. And The Night House is a really, really excellent movie.
Okay, my next honorable mention is The Mitchells versus the Machines.
Yeah, that was on my list.
God, I love that movie.
That is so good. That's maybe my favorite animated movie of the year. It's between that and Luca.
Oh, it is.
It's between that and Luca, which is also in my honorable mentions. But wow, what a really interesting movie and really funny movie. God, it's hilarious.
It's so funny.
I want to watch it again. We watched it that one time, and I was so bowled over by it. I didn't expect it to be much of anything, but it was amazing.
It really was.
It's by the same company that did
Spider-Verse,
right? Yeah, so the artwork in it is just as eye candy as what it is. It's so cool.
It's by far my favorite animated movie of this year.
Mm-hmm. My next one is a foreign movie that's on the streaming horror movie network Shudder. It's a Christmas movie, oddly enough, Christmas horror movie called The Advent Calendar. This was a cool, unique movie. It's about an advent calendar that's being controlled by a demon. And I know that sounds silly, but then it's not like an advent calendar like one you would buy at the drugstore. It's like an ancient advent calendar that is like a piece of furniture, basically. It's huge. And it's got little doors in it, and it's got all kinds of little pop-up things coming out of it. Like it's unique. It's very artistic and well done. It's not like the advent calendar on Bad Santa. And I know it sounds ridiculous, but man, it was a fun movie. It was just really well done and interesting, and it could be one of my favorite Christmas horror movies ever. It's not Black Christmas, but it's damn good. I really enjoyed it.
Black Christmas is the best Christmas horror movie.
Bar none. If I could, I'll go ahead with my next one because it's already been mentioned. My next two, actually. My next two are Lamb and Bo Burnham Inside.
Very cool.
Since we covered those, you can go ahead and go on with your next one because I got more than you anyway, so if you've already said them, I'll knock them out quickly. So go ahead.
My next honorable mention is Minari.
Minari, shit. Was that a 2021 movie?
Yes, it was.
Oh, man.
It was released in March of this year, I believe.
That's where that whole Oscar thing really blurs the lines with me. Like and when I went back to look at the movies released in the theaters and so forth in 2021, that one escaped me somehow. But Lord, that would have been in my top 10.
February 12th.
Sorry, Ghostbusters. That would have been in my top 10 for sure. So, talk about Minari.
Every performance from every actor and actress in this movie is unbelievable.
The grandmother character alone is worth the price of admission. She is wonderful.
The kids in the movie are really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
Stephen Yeun is not disappointing at all because he never is. He's amazing.
Yeah.
An A24 movie, which, I love A24.
Stephen Yeun has really surprised me because he was on The Walking Dead, and he was a very beloved character on The Walking Dead. And I thought he was a good actor, but once his character gets killed off on The Walking Dead, I really thought, man, I hope that's not all he's known for, because he's really good. I hope he can somehow go on to better things, and he did. Like, he's done nothing but interesting work ever since. He's incredible. He's a really, really great actor, and he's far better than I really even imagined he was going to be. So good for him, man, because he's doing some great stuff. Really great work.
My next honorable mention is The Night House.
Okay.
The next one after that is Cruella.
I got Cruella on mine, too.
Man, this movie was cool.
Man, talk about a movie that flew under the radar, too. I don't know how much interest there was in that movie, but it is such an unusual Disney movie.
It really is. It's
such a cool movie, and the music is fantastic in it. It's basically, I don't even know how to describe it. It's just some really excellent music. I Want to Be Your Dog by the Stooges, and some really good stuff from the Kinks, and just it's a fantastic soundtrack.
It's really good.
And the movie is just really beautifully done, beautifully shot. I have no interest at all in fashion, but watching this movie, the clothes, the wardrobe and everything, it's just beautiful. It's really a very unique Disney movie. There's really nothing Disney's put out in recent memory I can think of that has been any more unique than this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah!
Okay, I'll go again. My next honorable mention is Worth.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Man, I forgot about that one, too. That was excellent.
That movie is... Man, it's sad.
Yeah, that was the lawyer who was put in charge of trying to find compensation for the families of the people that died from 9/11. And, what kind of price tag do you put on someone's life? It was a hell of a movie. Good call, bud. I forgot all about that movie.
Yeah.
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 Oh, yeah, Tito Santana.
My next couple, I'm going to do Moxie, which is a Amy Poehler directed teen movie that's on Netflix. And the movie is based on the song Rebel Girl by Bikini Kill from the 90s, which is a really great feminist anthem. And it's a very feminist-driven movie with like a real punk rock current going through it, I think is a good way of putting it. Just a hilarious and really compelling, heart-filled movie. That's well worth your time. Excellent movie on Netflix. And then my next one is the Bob Odenkirk starring Nobody.
Nobody.
It's on your list too?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's so fun.
It's like Saul Goodman is John Wick secretly.
And I love Saul Goodman.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and get Spider-Man out of the way, shall we?
Let's just get it out of the way.
Spider-Man No Way Home. Very good movie.
Not a great movie.
Not a great movie. I felt compelled to put it in the honorable mentions because there is really a lot to enjoy about this movie. Really interesting things that happen, which have all been spoiled at this point. But if you haven't seen it and you've been avoiding spoilers, I'm not going to spoil it for you. A lot of really interesting things that happen in this movie. Some throwback stuff that happens in this movie. A very heart-wrenching scene in the movie, toward the end of the movie, that I was surprised it happened in the first place, but it was also very, very emotional. Great acting in the movie as well, but ultimately a letdown. I was really hoping for something better than the first two movies, which I loved both of those movies. Homecoming is probably my favorite Marvel MCU movie, period. Not a lot of people understand why I love that one the most. I just do. It just resonates with me. I can't explain it. But I was really hoping for something that would either top that or just kind of put the icing on the cake on this trilogy, and I didn't feel like it succeeded.
It's definitely a fan service movie.
And Ghostbusters was as well, but I just thought Ghostbusters did it better than what Spider-Man did.
Spider-Man did it decently. There's definitely those moments where you're like, oh yeah, I love that. And then there's those moments like, okay, yeah, you're overdoing it a bit. There's that occasional thing where you just love it, and then they go over the top at moments.
And I think this is a perfect time to lead into another superhero movie I was really looking forward to and ultimately felt a little let down as well, was The Suicide Squad.
You felt let down by that?
A little bit. Because it was James Gunn, I guess I was expecting it to be, along the lines of Guardians of the Galaxy, and I just don't feel like it hit that. It was very funny, and there was a lot of great stuff in it, but also the big villain in the movie is a giant starfish. So it's just, the movie was silly, and it knew it was silly, and that's fine. But I don't know, something about it at the end, I was just like, that didn't really do what I wanted it to do necessarily. I still liked it a lot. I still enjoyed it, and it's still an honorable mention. John Cena stole the movie, I thought, and there were a lot of great characters in the movie. And the one I least expected to steal the movie was John Cena, because he's kind of one note in a lot of ways, but man, he's hilarious in that movie. So yeah, I know you disagree with me on this one, but I just something about it didn't hit me the way I hoped it would.
Yeah. Now, I'm going to go on to another superhero movie, which, this is unexpected, but Psycho Goreman. This, in some way or another...
You love the Psycho Goreman.
I love the Psycho Goreman. Oh, this movie is so funny.
It is really funny.
It is easily one of the funniest movies of the year, and there is a little kid in this movie, I can't call her name, but
She is hysterical. She is hysterically funny, and she's gonna do some great stuff in the future too, I think.
She will.
You like that movie a lot more than I did, I think, but I did think it was hilarious. That was a very funny movie.
I liked it a lot more than most people did, apparently.
That's what's great about movies, man. The things that you love, other people hate, and vice versa. So, that's art is subjective.
Yep. All right, my next honorable mention is Luca.
That's one of the best Pixar movies in a while.
Yeah, definitely.
Unless I'm forgetting one, I think it's probably the best Pixar movie since Inside Out.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if I missed one after that. Toy Story 4 was definitely not good. Soul was fine. Coco was before Inside Out, wasn't it? Or was it after?
It was after.
Okay, so it's the best one since
Yeah.
Coco. Incredibles 2 was fine. Cars 3 I didn't see.
Not good.
So yeah, it's the best one in my opinion since Coco.
Yeah. My next honorable mention is Saint Maud.
Oh damn, I forgot about Saint Maud too. That's a very good horror movie.
Man.
Yeah.
That's scary.
That is. That ending is really, really well done. Really well done.
Really well done.
Man, good call. I forgot about Saint Maud.
I don't forget about the A24 movies, man. I just love them all so much.
I know you don't. You're their biggest fan, I think.
There's that occasional terrible one like a Ghost Story or Uncut Gems.
Oh,
Man, I just love
Uncut Gems.
so many A24 movies.
So some of my honorable mentions that you've already covered. I'll just get those out of the way. Quiet Place 2, Mitchell's versus the Machines, Antlers, I think is very high on the honorable mentions list, and Cruella. I've got those on my list too. But my next one, as far as one that you haven't mentioned yet, and I don't think you will because I don't think you've seen it, the Netflix movie I Care a Lot.
I haven't seen that one.
About a woman scamming old people out of their retirement funds, basically. Based on a true story, I believe. It seems like something somebody would do. Really, really, really excellent movie. Rosamund Pike, she's a solid actor. She's not really bad in anything that I've ever seen her in. But wow, this was a cool movie. And it was a lot better than I even thought it was going to be. By the trailer, I thought, well, it looks kind of like it might be kind of goofy. But it wasn't goofy at all. It was actually very, very compelling. She got nominated for a Golden Globe. I don't think she got nominated for an Oscar for that.
Yeah.
But only white people get nominated for Golden Globes anyway, so that worked out.
So another superhero movie. My favorite Marvel movie of this year, Shang-Chi and the Ten Rings.
That's on my list too. That was surprisingly great. I didn't have much hope for it. It didn't look all that interesting to me, but man, that was damn good.
That was a really good Marvel movie.
Yeah.
Pretty much every Marvel movie is good, but this was different. This was just unexpectedly good.
They're not all great, but they're at least good. We haven't seen the Eternals yet, which is supposedly the worst one yet.
Hey.
But Shang-Chi, man, I saw the trailers and stuff where I was like, man, I just don't care. It's not what I hoped for out of the MCU. And then I watched it, like, man, I was wrong. That's a damn good movie.
Man, that was a creative movie, too. Those fight scenes. Wow.
Yeah. I'll say the big creatures at the end of the movie were also very cool.
Very cool.
And then another Marvel movie that we haven't mentioned, too, Black Widow. That's another one that I thought looked okay. And then it was a whole lot better than I expected it to be, too.
That's another one that's, getting a lot of hate for no reason. I don't know.
I don't know, man, because Florence Pugh's character, she's going to be one of the breakout characters of the next wave of the Marvel movies, I think. Her character's hysterical, and she's really, really excellent in that role. and she shows up in one of the Disney Marvel series. I don't want to give anything away just because people still haven't seen those, but she does appear and increases her role a little bit, and she's going to be great. I like her and everything she's been in so far, and this character I'm excited about.
She's about to get paid a lot of money.
Oh yeah, good for her too.
Good for her.
Oh, good for you!
All right, I stole one. Go ahead.
All right, my next honorable mention is The Guilty.
The Guilty. The Guilty. What was The Guilty?
The Jake Gyllenhaal movie.
Oh, The Guilty. Man, how am I forgetting these movies? That was a good one too, yeah.
The Guilty is a movie about a 911 operator who gets an unexpected call one night and it goes crazy.
Yeah, it does.
Jake Gyllenhaal, like always, is amazing. In fact, Jake Gyllenhaal is just the greatest actor ever.
He's your boy. I know you love him. I think he's great too. He's great in pretty much everything he's in. I don't think he's the greatest actor ever, but he's definitely one of the best of the last 20 years. He's a phenomenal actor.
Yes.
My next one is a movie that you didn't like, but I thought it was a fun little horror comedy called Werewolves Within.
Didn't like that one.
I know you didn't, but I thought it was fun. It's got, what's her name? Lily from the AT&T commercials in it, and she's really, really funny. Good movie, though. Really funny. I thought it was fun anyway. You didn't like it, and, well, The Green Knight.
I have a great feeling I know why I didn't like it as much as I thought I might.
Why is that?
The same night we watched Werewolves Within, we also watched Whiplash.
Well, that's not a fair comparison, though, because Whiplash is a completely different movie.
Yeah, but like at the same time, it was going to be hard to even get close to competing with Whiplash, and after Whiplash, I was just anxious and excited.
Fair enough.
My next honorable mention, Nomadland.
Yeah.
This movie sucks.
But you made it an honorable mention anyway?
Just because, I thought I'd mention it as a terrible movie.
That's not the goal of honorable mentions there, boy.
Man, I didn't.
Of course, we did talk about how disappointed we were in Spider-Man and how disappointed I was in Suicide Squad, but, whatever.
So this is a dishonorable mention,
Yeah.
Man, this one, Best Picture, that's surprising.
It was fine, It was fine. I don't see what people loved so much about it. I just thought it was fine.
Okay, your next honorable mention?
The Questlove-directed documentary The Summer of Soul about a Woodstock-style concert that took place right in the middle of Harlem and was completely overlooked and buried in the news because it happened around the same time the first man walked on the moon. But it was some of the biggest names in soul music of that era and of all time still, really. It shows you just how incredible Stevie Wonder is as a musician. That's the thing that keeps coming back to my mind is how great Stevie Wonder is. And, of course, Sly and the Family Stone's in it, and they're one of the best bands of all time. It's phenomenal. It's on Hulu. Definitely check that out if you're a music fan.
Cool. You can do another one.
The Forever Purge.
Yeah.
Is that on your list, too?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the fourth or fifth movie in the Purge series?
The fifth one.
Fifth one, okay. The plot of this one is that the annual purge was ended with the last administration, and then they got voted out of office, and the purge picked that back up, and then people went crazy with it. Sort of a commentary on the way politics were the last 4 years. So, kind of a frightening movie, just knowing that something like that isn't really too far from reality sometimes, and gets a little uncomfortable just watching it, because you think, man, that could happen if society really broke down.
Yeah. I'm down to 4 honorable mentions, so you can...
You go ahead.
My first of 4 honorable mentions is Halloween Kills.
Okay.
This movie doesn't make a lot of sense, and it's not the best movie, but man, did I have a lot of fun watching this.
It is fun to watch.
I had so much fun watching it.
That's about all you can say about it. It's a terrible story, really, for the most part, but fun to watch and some really unique kills in this one.
Man, it might be some of the weirdest and grossest kills I have seen of any horror movie ever, and one especially because you never see someone getting stabbed in that specific area.
Right. And then once it happens, you're like, oh God, no, why? Don't do that. Yeah, it's ugly.
Well, two specific areas.
Mm-hmm.
One area that makes you uncomfortable and one that's just surprising.
And it's not a stab to the balls, if anybody's thinking that. It's more unconventional.
Should we just say it? It's a stab in the armpit and a stab in like the under part of your head that goes up and straight through your eye.
Your eye socket, yeah.
Yeah. I don't like that one.
Nasty. Beware of that armpit stab. That just went straight through me for some reason. No pun intended. My next one is the Sopranos sequel, The Many Saints of Newark. Really good movie. Kind of better than I thought it was going to be. It's been a while since I watched the Sopranos series, and there were some characters in the movie I was like, who is that? Who is that? And I had to go back and kind of research who a couple of the characters were. But yeah, pretty great movie. There was one storyline that really kind of cracked me up because it was something I don't think was ever addressed in the original Sopranos series, but that's how Silvio wore a toupee. If you know the series and you know who Silvio is, you'll probably think that's amusing as well. So now you go.
My next honorable mention is Red Notice.
Yeah, that almost made my honorable mentions list. That's a hell of a lot of fun, but it's a dumb movie.
Oh, it's extremely dumb. And
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's just purposefully dumb.
Oh, yeah.
And I know that you and me watched the movie for The Rock and stayed for Ryan Reynolds and Gal Gadot, but...
I watched for Ryan Reynolds and stayed for the other two, but The Rock is, I think, the biggest action star in the world and one of the biggest movie stars in the world for a reason. He's damn good at what he does. But Ryan Reynolds, to me, is pretty much the reason why I see any movie that he's in.
Okay, I had that backwards. Yeah, we watch for Ryan Reynolds and stay for The Rock and Gal Gadot.
Right.
I don't ever watch a movie for The Rock.
I think he's great at what he does. He's an excellent action star. He's funny. He comes off a little wooden sometimes, I think. But this is going to be one of those things where people go, okay, wrestling fan. I just liked him better as a wrestler.
That's fair.
He was more creative and more interesting as a wrestler than he has been as an actor, in my opinion. But I'm a old school wrestling fan for 40 years, and I watched his entire run through the Attitude Era, and there's still no one better than WWF's The Rock. He is a one of a kind character. As an actor, he's just Smiling Rock to me, and good for him. He's got everything in the world that he would ever need and want, and he's set for life. I'd probably be smiling ear to ear too, but he's got so much more edge to him than that in real life. I just wish he would do more interesting work than what he does.
He's definitely an action star and that occasional comedy movie.
Mm-hmm.
The ones with Kevin Hart and this one with Ryan Reynolds.
I think him and Kevin Hart, the two of them together, they're a perfect combo. They've got great chemistry, and they're really funny together. So if he's going to do comedy, I think he should do it with Kevin Hart. But as far as action's concerned, he does some dumb stuff.
He really does.
Skyscraper's bad.
Skyscraper's terrible.
Yeah. San Andreas, that was bad.
That was bad.
But hey,
Yeah.
more power to him. That dude's rich as hell.
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and do my final three in a row because they do have a common thread, and then you can knock yours out and then we'll be done.
Okay.
My next three are all three Netflix movies, and they're all three fairly recent movies as well. One of them is a Western with an all-black cast called The Harder They Fall, with Regina King and Idris Elba and about every popular black actor walking the planet right now. It is a stacked cast, and everyone is amazing in it. So if you like a good Western, that's one to watch. My next one is called Passing. That one is directed by Rebecca Hall. It's her first directorial movie. It's about light-skinned black women that used to pass as white women back in the early civil rights era, and how dangerous that was and how unusual that was. And it's got Tessa Thompson in it and Ruth Negga, I believe her name is. Beautifully acted. It's in black and white, beautifully shot, just gorgeously shot. Man, again, Rebecca Hall, she directed it, and she just shows once again how she can't do anything wrong. And then my final one, the most recent Netflix movie to hit the service with one of the biggest casts they've ever put in a movie, is Don't Look Up. Which is the satire basically about the Trump administration and COVID under the guise of a comet about to hit the planet. What a smart and hilarious movie that is. Really one of the better and most unusual roles that I've seen DiCaprio in, because he plays he's a scientist, he's a nerdy scientist and who becomes sort of a celebrity because Jennifer Lawrence's character, who's one of his students, discovers this comet that's about to hit Earth, and he ends up kind of taking all the credit for it, and she ends up looking like a crazy person. It's a really fantastic movie, even better than I expected it to be, because the trailer didn't do much for me, but it's a really, really well done movie and incredibly smart. All right, bud, finish this off.
My first honorable mention of these three is Godzilla vs. Kong.
Yeah.
That's entertaining.
Entertaining.
Army of the Dead. That's entertaining.
not good. Entertaining.
Very entertaining.
Zack Snyder is the new Michael Bay.
Yeah, that movie has some of the best CGI if you know the whole context behind it.
Mm-hmm.
Because one actor in the movie was kicked off set and already had all of his scenes shot in the movie, but ended up being a terrible person, so they brought on another actor and CGI'd her entire thing into the movie, and
they CGI'd her into the movie, and you can't even tell. It's amazing.
You cannot even tell.
Yeah.
It is so impressive. And then my final honorable mention, which was the final movie I saw of 2021, was Don't Breathe 2.
Yeah.
Not at all near the first one's quality, but man, it was still very cool.
I almost put that in my honorable mentions, but then I started thinking about it, and I don't even remember how it ended. So if I can't remember how it ended and I watched it last week, it obviously didn't resonate with me, so that's why I left it off the list. Godzilla vs. Kong almost made my list too. That one is just a fun watch all the way around. It's not a great movie, but it's a fun watch for sure.
It's a very fun watch.
Seeing Godzilla and King Kong go at each other on top of a battleship is fun as hell. Oh man, that's so cool. And it just like, you see them going at each other and it's like, you just get giddy, like, oh my God, there they go, look at them. But yeah, it didn't totally make the cut because I thought overall it wasn't the best movie, but it's fun as hell to watch. Army of the Dead, I agree with you, is fun to watch as well. Some really funny characters in the movie too, but ultimately it was just stupid.
It was so stupid, but
yeah.
Man, it's entertaining.
It is. Well, one movie that neither one of us saw, but I think needs to be mentioned, because as I was going through this list of 12,000 movies today, I would run across some really hilarious titles, and I'd have to tell you what they were, and you were laughing just as hard as I was.
Yes.
One of them, not the one I'm going to mention, but one of them that really cracked us both up was a movie called Bigfoot, Aliens, and Jesus. Or Bigfoot, UFOs, and Jesus, something like that. But yeah, but that's great. There were a lot of Bigfoot movies made this year. A lot. A startling amount of Bigfoot movies. Still a startling amount of Amityville movies. I don't know if any of them have anything to do with the Amityville horror at all, but there was Amityville Clown, Amityville Cop, just a bunch of Amityville. But the movie I wanted to mention, the name of this movie is called Murder Bitches Meet the New World Order and Murder It, then have sex at the end probably. Once again, if you didn't get all that. Murder Bitches Meet the New World Order and Murder It, then have sex at the end probably. Full title. We need to see that movie, and I don't even know how you see a movie like that, where you could find a movie like that. I hope it's maybe on YouTube, but wow. I got to see a movie called Murder Bitches Meet the New World Order and Murder It, and then have sex at the end probably. That is a title. Well, Dylan, this has been a lot of fun, my friend. Thank you so much for doing this with me. If anyone knows how to rank a movie, it's you, son.
Yeah.
You are the king of ranking in my world. You rank everything, and I don't know why, but you do a good job at it. So
I try.
Yeah. You keep on ranking, and then at the very last minute, I'll put mine together, just like I did this time. So
all right.
Thanks for listening to the short reel. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
That's it for the short reel this week. You can connect with us by following us on social media at All Night Drive-In on Twitter and Instagram, by searching the All Night Drive-In Picture Show on Facebook, and by emailing us at allnightdriveinpictureshow@gmail.com. Please subscribe to and rate and review the show on Apple Podcasts or on your favorite podcatcher if possible. And more importantly, tell your friends. Sneaking your friends into the show in the trunk is definitely allowed at the All Night Drive-In Picture Show. I mean, Stubbs probably won't like it, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. So we'll see you next week on the All Night Drive-In Picture Show. Thanks for listening.
The Short Reel is edited and produced by Markham Harvey. Our theme song is by Burning Mirror and edited by The Night Watch. I'm your announcer, Lila Pseudonym. This has been a Clown Business Coalition production. Thank you and good night.